Many Christians will argue that the basis for observing Sunday is found in Scripture, and they'll even argue that it does not replace the seventh-day Sabbath, but we have clearly seen that Sunday was meant to replace it. Meanwhile, there is no command found anywhere in Scripture that informs us of the seventh day being replaced as a day to be set aside for rest. One thing you have to realize is that the worship of deities was of chief importance to the decision makers of the ancient world, and many of their decisions have persisted to this day. The many gods they served have crept into Christianity, science, and even mundane issues we take for granted, such as the names of the days of the week and the names of months, among other things. As to the names of the days of the week,
when you take a closer look at the words which make up our days of the week, we soon realise that they come from a very specific time and place. The Saxons and the Vikings contributed to what we call the days of the week. In other words, our words for the days of the week are more than 1,000 years old. So, Monday does not in fact come from Monday. Instead, its roots are in Old English, specifically Monundag. And what does Monundag mean? Well, it means the moon's day. Monday, therefore, or Moon Day, was a day dedicated to the moon. This is not because it was a dark day, but rather for the early Saxons and for the Vikings, the sun and the moon were personified in godlike figures. Mani, the moon, and Sol, his sister, the sun. This day also offered a chance to contemplate the changing moon throughout the month. The next day of the week is, of course, Tuesday, and this day also has its roots in Old English, specifically Tuesdag. For the early Saxons and the Vikings, Tuesdag was in fact Tyr's day. Tyr figured prominently in Norse mythology. He was son of Odin, god of war, a brave god. When the gods needed to bind the massive wolf Fenrir, it was Tyr who offered his arm as forfeit. The wolf was bound, and Fenrir took the arm. A brave god indeed. So, do we have any ideas where Wednesday or Wednesday may come from? Well, it comes from the Old English Wodenestag. Woden was one of the names for the king of the gods. This was Odin's day. Sat in the middle of the week, one could hardly avoid the day of Odin, the king of the gods, the one-eyed wise man, with 2 pet ravens, one for thought and one for memory. This meant he knew everything. Now, surely Thursday is an easy one to guess. Thursday. Well, in Old English, Thursday was Thunrusdag. Any ideas? Yes, that's right. We're talking about Thor's day. Thor is probably the most famous of the Norse and Germanic gods. He was a god of lightning and power, and wielded a small, if effective hammer called Mjolnir. Here he is, twisting his beard into the shape of his hammer. Thor was popular, charismatic, sometimes very stupid, but always very brave. Next we come to Friday. Going on the pattern, whose day might Friday be? Well, the Old English is Frigadag. Well, this quite simply means Frigg's day. Frigg, sometimes known as Frigga, was the wife of Odin, queen of Asgard, and mother to a very popular god, Balder. In Old English, Frigg is a byword for a beloved lady, and together with Odin they ruled over all the gods. She is also thought to have been able to weave with clouds. Next, of course, we come to Saturday. Saturday was known as Sunnanefn. This quite literally meant the eve of Sunday, or Sunday's eve. However, eventually Old English did adopt another name, that being Saturnsdag. What could this be? Well, it's very similar to Saturday, and it comes from a completely different collection of gods. Yes, that's right, you got it, it's Saturn, the god of agriculture and a good harvest. He was also the father of the Roman king of the gods, Jupiter. Now, in Old English, Sunday was known as Sunnandag. Any ideas whose day this might be? Well, hopefully you've figured out it was the sun's day, preceding the moon's day, Monday. This was a day dedicated to the sun and the crucial role the sun plays in daily life. Together, the sun and her brother the moon ran through the sky, pursued by wolves. So, when examining your shiny new calendar, bear in mind that the days of the week in English and some other languages largely owe their names to the pantheon of Germanic and Norse gods.